Hey everyone, today's video is about possible new features in Football Manager 2015. Now there's been no news yet except that the game's going to be released in November, which is still, 3 months away. But I thought I'd ask some of you guys what you would like to see in the new edition of the game. And on my Football Manager Facebook Society page, I asked everyone what they would like to see. New features or possibly old features being reintroduced into the game. And I'll put the link in the description below so you can check out everyone's ideas. And also, if you've got any ideas that are additional to the thoughts in this video, or if you agree with any of the thoughts or disagree, then put them in the comment section below. Now there's not going to be anything interesting in the background of this video, it's just some FM15 graphics for you. So I'm just going to go down the list and then add my thoughts to it. One idea I liked was on FM05, when you would be sent videos by agents of their players. So you'd get a package showing the best goals of this striker, which I thought was quite interesting, because there has been cases when managers have signed players literally just from video footage, and I quite like that idea. So that's enough. I reckon that could be a good feature on the game. Anyway, I'll just go down this list. So Alan McKenzie has said the ability to add leagues as view only during a career. I believe when you add leagues at the end of each season to the game, you have to add them as playable leagues, I think. So that would be useful. Now this one has been very popular throughout the last few years, in fact. Aaron Dobson has said, to do something with your wages and a trophy case or something, being able to see new teams be created when another one goes into liquidation or something. Okay, that's two separate thoughts there, but the first one, people think that it would be a good idea to be able to do something with the money that you earn from clubs, because I guess you could argue, what's the point in negotiating a really high contract? You'll want as low a contract as possible in a way to benefit the club, so you've got more money to spend. But what would you do with that money? Buy cars, buy stuff, but what's the point? Because you won't be able to use them in the game. So some people have suggested perhaps putting that towards buying your own club and becoming a chairman, but it's not Football Manager anymore. That's more like Sims. Perhaps there could be a Sims Football Manager crossover at some point, possibly, but that's not Football Manager. That's not what it's about. I think on FIFA Manager you can design your own stadiums and that sort of thing, but the main ethos about Football Manager is that you're the manager of a club, and that's what you're in control of. You're not playing any other parts of your life. You're not marrying, you're not having children. I mean, you can have kids and they can appear in the game, but that's not the main thing behind Football Manager. Perhaps they'd go that way. Maybe they'd put that as an extra option that you can sort of unlock at some point, maybe in Football Manager Classic, because they are seeming to go that way and catering towards a younger audience, I guess. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Some people are really against it, some people would love it because it would be a bit more interactive, possibly. So Martin McIntyre has put the B list for registering players for European competitions. If you don't know what it is, it's how Man City and Chelsea get away with the home-grown rules for Champions League. So basically, I'm sure many of you had the problem where you've got too many foreign players in your team and you can't register all of them for the Champions League or Europa League. Apparently in real life there's another alternative, and the big teams get around it somehow so they can register all their players, so perhaps that needs to be integrated into the game. Ben Gertz has said, I'd just generally like to be able to have more leagues playable without the game speed decreasing as much. Now that's an issue with your computer, really, how powerful your processor is. Now the game's always going to be big, and you don't need an amazing graphics card, you don't need an amazing laptop to be able to play Football Manager, but if you want to play it really fast and have lots of leagues, then obviously you do need a powerful computer. It's a massive database, it's huge. If any of you work with databases like I do for my job, then you know how slow things like Microsoft Access can get when you've got a huge amount of data in it. So it's quite remarkable how quickly it does actually go, considering how much data is in this game. So I don't know how they do that, because there's more features now, so obviously that would slow things down. If they streamlined it back to Championship Manager, style games, then it would be running so quickly, but you wouldn't have everything in it that people love nowadays. So I'm not sure if that's really possible. Someone said that one-on-ones for strikers, their striker always misses. Yeah, they do miss quite a lot, but then a lot of strikers, if you watch a match, there are quite a few one-on-one chances generally in a match, and more often than not, the keeper manages to get out there and save it, closes him down quickly and saves it, and the striker even does put it wide sometimes. So I guess, I mean, that is quite realistic in a way. Sam Tobin, this has got loads of 58 likes on it. Rather than automatically getting the my client isn't interested in speaking to your club, I think there should be an option to be able to have a private conversation with the player and try to convince them. Well, that's life. Sometimes people don't want to talk to you. I'm sure in real life, when a club approaches a player, they will turn around and say to the agent, I do not want to talk to that club at all, no matter what. So I guess that's just reflecting real life. Ben Green has said, and I quote, being able to see players do proper skills and stuff, make the match more exciting to watch. Yeah, I mean, the match engine generally should be improved in certain aspects, but it's not going to be FIFA. It's never going to be like that, because if you want to have all about the graphics and play FIFA, this is, a lot of us are used to the old style where it was just commentary box, and then it was 2D, and some people still play 2D because the 3D can be a bit annoying. But things like fullbacks, crosses, always hitting the crossbar or the post, that needs to be sorted out. Someone said, George Caulfield has said, the option to automatically reject transfer bids if more than 50% of the bid is instalments. It's a really good idea. There's some funny things on here. You can have a look in the description below. Someone's talking about press conferences. Generally, they do need to be improved. Soteris Karula has said, to change press conferences so when they ask you to comment on a quote you said 3 months ago, your 5 options do not make sense, and not one of them being the exact quote to reply to your quote. Stupid. So basically, you've said something 3 months ago, and then the press have asked you to comment on that thing again, and one of the options is exactly the same quote. Yep, that should be changed if that's the case. I'm not sure if I've had that. Someone, Reese A-lister Hainsborough said, when you win Manager of the Month, you can print off a certificate to then place on your wall. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Basically, Steve Mower said that he'd like more realistic stadiums, so it looks like Old Trafford and Emirates. I guess maybe one day they'll do that, but they're never going to have perfect graphics. Charlie Hughes has said a tactic option where you can draw where you want the players to run. So this is bringing back an old idea from the old FMs where you had the arrows, and Championship Manager where you could have the arrows. I mean, people love that. So, but it's been replaced with different system now with the player roles. It's all about player roles nowadays, and that takes into account. So if you've got a complete attacking wing back, that means they will be running up and down, so that you don't need the arrows anymore. They're invisible, but effectively what it would be is have your right wing back with an arrow all the way to the top, but it just doesn't show that anymore. Marshall Thomas has said to sort out penalties because he had problems where it's gone in, but then it says he apparently blazed it over. James Davidson has also said change the questions in press conferences because they're so repetitive. Finn Kribolda has said you could have a pundit on the highlights on a highlight show. I actually thought of this last year. I thought it'd be a good idea, like a roundup of the weekend in your league with Gary Lineker commenting or something on it. Matthew Huggins has said that shaving foam they used in the World Cup. Finn Kribolda also has said goal line technology. Oh, my foot's gone dead. Ow. It's gone all tingly. Maybe, I mean, social media definitely should be improved, I think. The thing is that you've got problems. You can't have, say, for example, a player says something awful on Twitter, and that happens a lot in real life, and they get in trouble and they get fined, but you won't be able to do that on the game of real players because you'd get in trouble. Players in real life would end up suing Sports Interactive if, for example, someone's gone and done something at a nightclub and abused someone, then they don't want that to appear on the game, do they? But perhaps with regions, that's a possibility. Someone said, Gene D. Mabanzo just said reduce the amount of injuries. It's stupid how I've had 7 players injured at once. Have you ever seen West Ham's injury list? Okay, lastly, Lewis Bryant, I think he's said something already. I don't think the manager should have total control over things like stadium building and ticket pricing, but you should be able to have some input with the board. I think, in a way, on the game, you've got more power than you would in real life. Managers in real life are more like head coaches now. They very rarely sign a player themselves. If they do have an input, they don't deal with the finances at all. That goes over to the chairman. I was reading Harry Redknapp's autobiography, and he said you get very little, control over finances. Some managers will still, but most don't. So in a way, we've actually got more power on this game than you would have in real life. They're never going to take that away, because the game would become uninteresting if you basically were just coaching the players. So yeah, perhaps you could have some sort of input with the board, but I don't know. Anyway, that's about it. That's quite a long list. But if you've got anything you'd like to add, put it in the comment section below. Also, check out the link so you can see what everyone's been saying. There's loads of forums on various Football Manager sites with people suggesting things, and you can suggest things yourself, but they won't be on the game until probably FM16 or FM17, because they take these things into account. They'd have decided everything by now anyway. They're not going to add anything new. They're just going to be updating transfers now. But anyway, thank you for listening to me. Hope you haven't got too bored. Please leave a like, please leave your thoughts and subscribe. And I hope you're looking forward to FM15 like me.